Welcome to STEM Pathway, your trusted source for science education and detailed explanations. Today, we are going to discuss Integrated Science Grade 8 KNEC Official Exams 2025, and in this video, we are going to cover every question from the first one to the last one, and then we are going to add about 4 additional questions which are commonly tested and likely to appear in your future exams. We aim to give you a clear, detailed explanations to boost your confidence, master concepts, understand the patterns, and also walk in your exam rooms fully prepared. The picture shows a bottle containing medicine. So here we have a bottle which is written as syrup, and it has other writings, like in this case we have calcium carbonate, we have sodium alginate, and then we have sodium bicarbonate. And then the first question from the label on the bottle, identify 2 elements that are present in the medicine. But remember, an element is defined as a pure substance that cannot be split into any simple amine by any chemical process. So in this case, for us to identify the element present, then we must first know the formula of the compounds which are present in these labels. Like in this case, for calcium carbonate, the formula for calcium carbonate is CaCO3. Then we have sodium alginate. This one, its formula is C6. We have H7. Then we have sodium, that is Na. Then we have O6. And then in general formula, it can have N, where N is N number. Then we also have what we call sodium bicarbonate, and it's written as sodium, in this case, hydrogen carbonate, like that. So in this case, for us to identify the elements present, then we can now use these symbols to identify, like Ca, this is calcium, this calcium as an element. This one is carbon, this one is oxygen. Then this one, H is hydrogen, sodium, this Na is sodium. Then this one, of course, we have said is oxygen. Then Na here is, it's just a repetition of what's above. Na is sodium, H is hydrogen, then we have C carbon, and O oxygen. So therefore in this case we can now name these elements present. The first one is calcium, second one we have sodium, then the third one we have carbon, the fourth one we have oxygen, and then the fifth one we have hydrogen. Then question B, write the chemical symbol of one of the elements identified in A above. Like in this case, the chemical symbol, we can see them on these formulas. So for calcium, we have Ca. For sodium, we have Na. For carbon, we have C. For oxygen, we have O. Then for hydrogen, we have H. And then question C, one of the substances found in the medicine is calcium carbonate. This one, the first one here. Indicate by ticking in the table below whether calcium carbonate is an atom, a molecule, or a compound. In this case, calcium carbonate is a compound, and we define a compound as a substance which contains 2 or more elements which are chemically combined. So in this case, calcium. The pictures below were taken by learners during a visual art class. So here we have learner 1 with a rusted nail, learner 2 with a broken bottle, learner 3 with a stretched rubber band, and then learner 4 with a sharpened pencil. Then the question is, the integrated science teacher used the pictures to explain physical and chemical changes in substances. Then the first question, identify the learner whose picture was used to explain chemical change. Remember, chemical change is a change where the reaction is irreversible. And in this case, when we look at the rusted nail, we look at the broken bottle, we have a stretched rubber band and a sharpened pencil. A rusted nail is what we call a chemical change, since rusting is a chemical process where, remember, in rusting, iron reacts with oxygen and water in the atmosphere, or moisture, to form what we call hydrated iron 3 oxide. and this process is irreversible, and as you can see, a new substance is formed. So in this case, the learner or the picture which was used to explain a chemical change is for learner 1 who had a rusted nail. Now, B, state 2 reasons for your answer in question this above or 12 above. The first reason for this is that a new substance is formed. In this case, we have said rust is iron oxide or hydrated iron 3 oxide, which is brown in color, is different from the original constituent. In this case, we have iron, oxygen, and water, but the product forms is hydrated iron 3 oxide. So in this case, a new substance is formed. Then the second reason is that the change is irreversible. You cannot reverse this process. Once rusting has taken place, there's no reverse for the same. Then the third one is that it involves a chemical reaction. In this case, iron react with oxygen and moisture to form rust. In this case, it's what we call a chemical reaction. We're going to learn classes of fire are categorized depending on the type of material and fuel for burning. Learners identified some materials in their environment and grouped them into classes of fire as shown in the table below. So here we have class A, where they identified a paper, wood, plastics. Then class B, where they identified paraffin, oil paint, and petrol. And as you can see here, for class A, we have a sample of a paper burning. Then for class B, we have a paraffin or petrol inside a beaker burning. Then now, question A, identify what the learner considered in grouping the material into 2 classes. Now, what the learner considered is the type of fuel or materials involved in the fire. Now, for class A, fire involving solid combustible materials like paper, wood, and plastic. That one they categorized in class A. And then for class B, fire involving flammable liquids like paraffin, oil paint, and petrol. So they considered the type of fuel or materials being involved in the fire. Then B, give a reason why water would be suitable in controlling class A fires. Now class A fires, remember, it involves paper, wood, and plastics. Now the reason why we prefer water is because it cools down the burning materials or the burning solids, and this one removes heat from the substance or from the solid, and this one controls burning. So in this case, the main reason why we prefer water is to reduce or remove heat from that material, because that material requires heat for it to burn. So if you use water, water is going to remove heat from that material, and therefore in this case, the fire will be stopped. C, identify one way of putting off class B fires. Now these class B fires, which involve paraffin, oil paint, and petrol, for you to put them off, you can put them in 2 ways. One, you use a foam extinguishers or carbon dioxide extinguishers to smoother the fire and cut off the oxygen. Or in this case, another way, you can also cover it with blanket, fresh leaves, and also a sand for you to stop class B fires. Question 17. A cell is a basic unit of life. Cells have components which can be seen under light microscope. The first question, name one component found in plant cell and not in animal cell. Now, since we are revising, we are going to give more than one. And the first one is that a component which you can find in a plant cell but not in animal cell is a cell wall. A cell wall provides structural support and protection for plant cell, but animal cells do not have a cell wall. They only have what we call a cell membrane. The second component you can see in a plant cell but not in animal cell is what we call a chloroplast. A chloroplast, in this case, contains chlorophyll, which is used for photosynthesis, and this only occurs in plants. Remember, photosynthesis is a process where living things make their own food, and the only living things which make their own food is green plants. Therefore, this one cannot be found in animals. Then the third one is what we call a large central vacuoles. Plants have large vacuoles for storing water and maintaining tank pressure, and animal cells have very small vacuoles. So these are the 3 components which you can see in a plant cell but not in an animal cell when you are using a light microscope. Question B, in an investigation, the total magnification of an image of a cell was found to be 200. So in this case, total magnification is equals to times 200 when the magnification of an objective lens, so in this case we also have objective lens magnification, is times 20. Now the question is, work out the magnification of the eyepiece. So we are looking for the eyepiece magnification. Eyepiece magnification, that's what we don't have. Now what you need here is a formula. Total magnification is equals to objective lens magnification times the eyepiece lens magnification. So in this case we have total magnification as times 200 is equals to objective lens magnification, we have times 20, then times the eyepiece lens magnification, which we don't have in this case. So for us now to obtain the total or the eyepiece lens magnification, we will divide all through by times 20 divided by times 20. Therefore in this case, this one is going to cancel to this one, then 200 divided by 20 is what we call 10. So the eyepiece magnification is equals to times 10. So in this case, the correct answer is a learner seated at the back of a classroom applied a perfume, and soon after the smell of the perfumes had spread throughout the classroom. One of the learners said the smell had spread by the process of osmosis. Question A, do you agree that the smell spread by the process of osmosis? Now let's look at osmosis. Osmosis is the movement of water molecules from a region of high water concentration to a region of low water concentration through as impermeable membrane. In this case, we don't have water molecules, we have a perfume. In this case, we also don't have as impermeable membrane. Therefore, it's no. This process is not osmosis. Now, question B, explain your answer above. Why is it not osmosis? In this case, we can respond to this by saying osmosis is the movement of water molecules through a impermeable membrane from a region of high water concentration to a region of low water concentration. And in this case, we don't have water, we have a perfume. So this is not osmosis. And then the process where this perfume spread is what we call diffusion. And the spreading of the perfume smell occurs because gas molecules, in this case we have gas, not water, from an area of high concentration near the perfume to an area of low concentration, that is the rest of the class. This process is called diffusion, where we define diffusion as the movement of particles from a region of high concentration to a region of low concentration. And it's not osmosis because in osmosis we must have water molecules and as impermeable. Sexually transmitted infection studies STIs show different signs and symptoms in human beings. The chart below shows signs and symptoms of various STIs. Draw lines to link the sign and symptom that are only specific for the herpes. One line has been drawn for you. So in this case, we have been given a line from the herpes, from the center here, to the swollen limb glands. The other one that we have is from the herpes to the rashed or rashes on the faces. Then we have another one to the blisters on the private parts. Then we have another one to the picture shows a tractor plowing a farm. The tractor has wide tires that help it move on the soil without getting stuck. The tractor goes up and down the hill to plow the whole farm. As it moves, energy changes from stored energy, that is potential energy, to moving energy, that is kinetic energy, and back again. But using tractors to plow farm in Kenya is not good for the environment. The first question, using the information and the picture, use the following words to complete the sentence. So here we have words like pressure, area, force, and energy. So in this case, we have the tires of the tractor are wide to increase. When they are wide, they increase what we call the area. so as to reduce when the area is large. Remember, pressure is equals to force over area. So if the area is very large, pressure is going to reduce. So in this case, so as to reduce pressure, with is force, with force remaining constant. Remember, in this case, the tractor is the same, force will be constant. Now, when you have increased area, then you reduce what we call pressure. Question 24. Complete the table below to show the form of energy gained by the tractor as it moves up and down the hill on the farm. So in this case, we have one side here, we have movement of the tractor. Then on the other side, we have what we call the energy gained. So the first one is the tractor moving down the hill. When the tractor is moving down the hill, its velocity is increasing. Therefore, in this case, it gains what we call kinetic energy. And kinetic energy, remember, is calculated as a half times mass times velocity squared. So if you have velocity increasing down the hill, then in this case, it gains what we call kinetic energy. Then B, the tractor moving up the hill. When the tractor is moving up the hill, in this case, it gains what we call potential energy, or energy due to the height. Remember, potential energy is calculated as mass times height times the gravitational field strength. And therefore, in this case, if this height increases as it moves up the hill, then it means its potential energy is going to increase. Question B, state a reason why the use of tractor in Kenya is not good for the environment. Now, when you use a tractor in Kenya, the fuel that it uses, when it burns, it produces carbon dioxide. Now, this carbon dioxide, and it all can also produce other gases, which we call greenhouse gases. This one contributes to air pollution and also climate change. So in this case, we don't recommend it so much because the fuel that it uses when it burns produces greenhouse gases, which can cause air pollution and also climate. Define the following terms. The first term that we have here is atomic number. Atomic number is defined as the number of protons in the nucleus of an atom. Remember, we define protons as a positively charged, these are positively charged subatomic particle. So atomic number is the number of the positively charged subatomic particles, and these protons helps to define the chemical properties of an element and its position in the periodic table. For example, if you have an element like hydrogen, which has only one proton, therefore it means in this case, the atomic number of this hydrogen is 1, and its position in the periodic table is also position 1. If you have another one like carbon has 6 protons. Now these 6 protons, it means the atomic number is 6, since we have said the atomic number is the same as the number of protons, and therefore the position of this carbon, which is atomic number 6, is position 6 in the periodic table. So this atomic number helps us to understand the position of an atom in the periodic table and also even the chemical properties of the element. The second term that we are supposed to define is mass number, and mass number is defined as the sum. Sum in this case, it means addition. Is the sum of the total number of protons and the neutrons in the nucleus of an atom. So if you want to find the mass number, then you have to add the number of protons and the neutrons in the nucleus of an atom. For example, if you have an element like carbon, now this carbon, in its atom, it has 6 protons and also has 6 neutrons. So for you to get the mass number, then we have said you have to add number of protons plus number of neutrons. Therefore, in this case, it's going to be 6 plus 6. Therefore, the mass number is 12. During a practical lesson, grade 7 learners tested the pH of 5 substances, Q, Z, M, N, and K, using a universal indicator. Classify the substances as strong acids, weak acids, neutral, weak base, or a strong base. So in this case, we have the first column for substance, then we have the pH value, then we have classification. And on this side of classification, we are going to classify either is a strong acid, a weak acid, a neutral substances, a weak base, or a strong base. So the first one, Q, has a pH of 8. Now I have introduced a pH scale down here. So where we have a pH value of 8 here, this one is a weak base. So here we say this is a weak base. Then the second one, that is Z, has a pH value of 1. If we look at our universal indicator pH chart down here, for a pH of 1, this one is a strong acid. So here we say this is a strong acid. And then M, we have a pH value of 7. When we look at the pH value of 7 on this scale, it is neutral. So here we say this substance is neutral. And then N, we have a pH value of 6. When you look at the pH value of 6 on this chart, it is under weak acid. So here we say this is a weak acid. And then now K, we have a pH value of 13. And if you look at this chart, the pH value of 13 is for strong bases. So here we say this is a strong base. So from 1 to 2, we have strong acids. From 3 to 6, we have weak acids. For pH value 7, it's a neutral substances. And from the pH value of 8 to 11, those are weak bases. And then finally, from pH value of 12 to 14, those are strong bases. The diagram below shows a setup used by grade 8 learners to demonstrate energy transformation in nature. So here we have a simple circuit where we have a dry cell, which is the source of energy. Then we have a switch, and then finally we have a buzzer. A buzzer in this case is an electrical device that produces sound when current flows through it. Now in this case, the first question, what is energy transformation? Energy transformation is defined as a process of changing one form of energy to another. For example, you can change sound energy to electrical energy, or electrical energy to light energy, and so on. So that process of changing one form of energy to another is what we call energy transformation. Then question B, state the correct energy transformation that takes place in the above setup when the switch is on. Now, if you switch this switch on, the current will flow from this dry cell, which produces chemical energy. Then it will be transformed to electrical energy in this conductor. Now this buzzer, we have said it produces sound. Therefore, the energy transformation that will take place is chemical energy from the dry cell into electrical energy in the conductor, and then finally sound energy from the buzzer. So here you can explain by saying the dry cell contains chemical energy, which is converted into electrical energy in the circuit. And then finally, the buzzer produces sound energy. So the sound transformation or the energy transformation is from chemical to electrical to sound energy. Question C, below is energy transformation that takes place in a certain appliance when in use. In this case, we have electrical energy being transformed to mechanical energy. Now the question is, identify the electrical and appliance in which the above energy transformation takes place. Remember, electrical energy is energy which is possessed by the movement of electrons, while mechanical energy is energy which is possessed by a body either in motion, that is for kinetic energy, or which is at rest, so that is potential energy. Now in this case, identify the electrical appliance which the above energy transformation takes place. In this case, for us to change electrical energy, to mechanical energy, we can have something like a motor, and in this case, or an electric fan which contains a motor, and in this case, electrical energy powers the motor, which in this case produces mechanical motion. And we have said mechanical energy is energy possessed by a body either in motion or at rest, but it has what we call potential energy. So the device in this case is an electric fan or an electric motor. Use the setup below to answer the questions. So in this case, we have setup A, where we have distilled water, and then inside we have a sweet potato cylinder. Then we also have setup B, where we have salt solution, and also inside we have the same sweet potato cylinder. So the first question, what process is being investigated in the setup above? Then define it. The process being investigated here is what we call osmosis, and it's osmosis because you can see the difference in concentration of water molecules. We define osmosis as the movement of water. This one is very important. In osmosis, we deal with the movement of water molecules from a region of high water potential or concentration to a region of low water potential or concentration, and it must involve the semi-permeable membrane. So here what you should note is that in distilled water, we have water, high concentration of water, high concentration of water inside this distilled water. Then inside this potato cylinder, we have low concentration of water. Then now when you come to the setup B, we have a low water concentration inside this salt solution, but we have what we call high water concentration inside this potato cylinder. So in this case, the difference in concentration of water molecules between the potato cylinder and the distilled water and the salt solution is what makes this process to be osmosis. Then the second question, describe what happens to the sweet potato cylinder in setup A. In setup A, as you can see, we have high concentration of water inside the solution, and we have low concentration of water inside the potato cylinder. And we have said osmosis is the movement of particles from a region of high water concentration to a region of low water concentration. Therefore, it means here the water molecules will move from the water into the sweet potato cylinder. And therefore, if you see the water is coming inside the sweet potato cylinder, it means the size of this sweet potato cylinder is going to increase. So what will happen in this case is that the sweet potato in cylinder A will increase in size and become turgid. This happens because water moved into the cell of the sweet potato from distilled water by a process called osmosis. The water moved from where it is highly concentrated outside into the cylinder where it is lowly concentrated. Then the third question, describe what happens to the sweet potato cylinder in setup B, and they give a reason. So you can see in setup B, if this process is osmosis, we have high water concentration inside the cylinder and we have low water concentration in the solution. Therefore, in this case, since osmosis is the movement of water molecules from a region of high water concentration to a region of low water concentration, therefore here, the water molecules are going to move from inside the cylinder into the solution like that. So in this case, the sweet potato cylinder is going to lose water. The water will move from the cylinder into the solution. And when this happens, then this potato cylinder is going to lose some content, that is water, and it's going to shrink and become small. So here we will say the sweet potato cylinder in B will decrease in size and become flaccid. This happened because water moved out of the sweet potato cell into the salt solution, and in this case the process is what we